You are officially in the loop. Welcome to In the Loop podcast. I am your host, Jordan Joe Hollabaugh, professional rodeo athlete, entrepreneur, and a full-time cowgirl. I'm married to my best friend, and we are blessed to get to do what we love every day, and that is travel around the world and rodeo. My goal on this podcast is to promote the Western industry and specifically the sport of breakaway roping. On In the Loop, we bring you behind-the-scenes stories of what real life looks like every day from cowgirls, cowboys, industry leaders, producers, trailblazers, and all of the like, sharing stories of the Western culture and the lifestyle that they live daily. You are now officially in the loop. Let's get to it. Okay, guys, so today we are here with the fresh off the stove CNFR all-around ladies women's champion. I don't even know what that title is. You're the all-around women's champion, breakaway roping champion, Madalyn Richards. Thanks for coming to the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So what does it feel like? I mean, we were just talking about, you're like, I'm not fixing my hair anymore. I've had to do that too much this week. I've been showing up and competing and looking good every day. What does it feel like? You know, you've had a crazy week of competition, and you came home with 2 different titles. What's that feel like right now?
Oh, it feels awesome. I'm glad to have a break and be able to sleep because it's definitely busy. Between the goats and the breakaway, I was all over the place, and the Texas A&M AgriLife was also filming a documentary on me and another guy that goes to A&M. And so we had constantly had to do interviews, and we were just all over the place. So it was very busy, but it was so fun. And yeah, I'm glad to rest for a second.
Well, and that's one thing I want to talk about, something I'm very proud of you for. I've known you for a very long time. You're originally from Vega, Texas, the panhandle of Texas. You go down to Texas A&M. You're an Aggie now, and you compete there, and you show up at the CNFR. Tell us how many times have you made it to the CFR? This year, you made it in the breakaway and the goat tying, and then you walk away with 2 different championships. So how many times have you made it to the CNFR, and what has that been like?
I've made it all 3 years that I've been in college. Last year I didn't make it in the breakaway. I did my freshman year though. And so, yeah, I think each time you go to the CNFR, it definitely helps you for the next year because it's very different. The setup of the breakaway is extremely simple, especially compared to all of the pro rodeos I feel like we go to. So I kept telling myself, like, just do your job. All you got to do is score and rope because they're not going to outrun you, you know? And I did it every single time. And so that helped, but it helped that I'd been there before. So I knew not to psych myself out and just to take it one step at a time. It helped for that in the goats too. Definitely. The goats is way crazier than the breakaway usually though. It's so tough, but, no, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm glad that this is my 3rd trip representing A&M.
And so and I want to talk a little bit about your family, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, but you and your sister are like goat tying fanatics. I call your sister Guns because like literally her guns on her arms are rank. And I mean, she looks like a bodybuilder. And then you look like a twig bodybuilder, and then you go and smoke one, right? So you had the fastest time of the whole entire week in the goat tying at the CNFR. You're 6 flat. And then you come back, you placed in every round in the breakaway. You said you and Maddie, your teammate, were both 2 flat in the 2nd round, which was an awesome feat. Talk me through, let's talk about the goat tying first. Okay, so how you guys don't have every body replacement on you, I don't know. Or if that's your goal, maybe that is your goal, being a goat tire. Knees, hips, all the things that you can possibly get. What drives you to be a goat tire, and what is the thrill in it?
Yes. So it's so fun to compete in the goat tying to me. It always has been. And it's always come pretty naturally to me. So I guess that's kind of what hooked me when I was little. I like that there's you have to use your athleticism, and it's not so reliant on horsepower. So I don't know. I've worked very hard on keeping my body like maintained and strong. I am not very big, but I've made sure what is here is strong and powerful. I work out with Champion Living with Natasha, and so that's really helped my goat tying, I think. And then playing basketball and sports all throughout high school also helped me in goat tying, and my sister. But no, I love to tie goats. I learned everything I know from Lynn Smith. She's had a very, very big impact on my life, actually, and my rodeo career, of course. And so No, if you would have told me honestly, like when I started my college rodeo career, that I would have won the national championship in the breakaway before I won in the goats, I would have been like, no. But I've grown a lot in the breakaway. I think, especially in the last year, after I won Greeley last year, I think that really helped my confidence, and I kept entering, and so my entering and winning helped my confidence too. But no, goat tying taught me how to win. It taught me a lot about the mental game, and my sister as well. And so we've always pushed each other pretty good. And no, I love tying goats, and I'll definitely be sad when it's over.
Well, I mean, I love watching it. It is like one of the funnest events for me to watch. And it's just like, you guys, the things you can do with your bodies, with your horses, with your goat string, all the things. It's just totally impressive to me. Talk about Lynn Smith. She is one of your biggest fans, obviously. She was definitely telling me all along. That's how she's like, we got to get Madalyn on this. She's kicking butt, taking names. And this is like midweek through the CNFR, right? And so I'm like, how's she doing? Keep me posted. And so she is one of your biggest fans and has helped so many young women and men in the sport. You know, she's a college coach in herself, a pro rodeo breakaway roper. Her husband is so involved. He's one of the the lead judge of the PRCA rodeo. I mean, they love rodeo through and through. And so one of the questions that she has for you today, I've took some of her questions down. I'm like, all right,
I didn't know she was a part of this.
Yeah,
Goodness.
see, throwing these right hooks at you. But one of the things Lynn wanted me to ask you, and I guess this ties into everything, not just goat tying, but what is one thing that you do that makes you feel competitive?
I feel like it comes from my day-to-day life. I treat every single day and every single second like it matters, and I want to prepare myself in every way I can, no matter what I'm doing, whether that's in school or rodeo, goat tying or breakaway. I'm very big on visualization, and so I think that helps me win and compete. I read a lot of books on the mental game. So I think each day I think that's what sets me apart, and that's what makes me feel competitive and be competitive. Each day I attack and make the most of, and I'm extremely busy all the time. But I think that's what sets me apart is my time management skills and the way I view life, sort of, maybe.
Yeah, no, I love that. And talk a little bit more about that, your time management, because you're a full-time student at Texas A&M. You practice every day, I'm sure of it. You are working out, you're preparing yourself mentally. So walk me through a day in the life of Madalyn. Like, how does it start and where does it end?
Yes, so school takes up a lot of my time. It's a big deal at A&M. Like, you have to be serious about it because they're not going to help you a whole lot like some of these smaller schools will with the rodeo stuff. It's getting a lot better, and we've made great strides, but I definitely have to focus on school. So I usually wake up in the morning, I do my workouts for Natasha, and then I go to class, take notes. I usually stay on campus for a while and do my homework and stuff like that. And then I'll come home. I like to get all my horses and stuff done early, and so we'll rope. All of my teammates are kind of out where I live. We don't have team facilities or anything, but we all kind of live in the same place. So my roommate, Victoria Bela, and I rope a lot. And then Madison Uthier lives across the street from me. And so we also rope together a lot. And then I tie goats in my front yard with my best friend, Cora. So we do that a lot. And then clean stalls, go in, do more homework, go to the rodeos, get lots of notes for going to the rodeos from Dr. Al. And but no, I'm super busy. I like school a lot and I'm good at it. So that's always been one of my main priorities. I want to succeed in that. I'm also involved in the College of Ag at Texas A&M and an officer on the rodeo team. So there's a lot going on, but I love every second of it.
And so I think one of the biggest things I'm hearing you say is you have a lot of commitments that you follow through with day in and day out, and you're making those small bits of progress every day. And I think that leads to big results, just like we've seen, and your confidence level. So talk me through the CNFR. You placed in every single round of the breakaway, and you said, it really helped me being there before, so I wasn't going to psych myself out, and I wasn't, I was prepared, and I kept telling myself. So what was your strategy going into that, and then how did you execute that 3 rounds in a row? 4? No, 3 or 4.
4 including the short game.
4 rounds, yeah, 4 rounds in a row.
It's a long game at the CNFR, which is probably my favorite part of the entire College Rodeo Association because I think that definitely determines the winner better. But then back to your previous point, I believe that consistency compounds. I think that's another thing that makes me feel competitive. I focus on that every day. But yeah, at the CNFR, I didn't intend on placing in every round. I didn't really think that was necessary, but I drew really good on the first two. A lot of the calves are softer, but I drew some stronger ones, which helped me. And so I really capitalized on those two, which set me up good later in the week, so I didn't have to be as fast. I didn't think I drew very good going into the short go. He was really soft, and I was texting Maddie. She was asking how he was, and I was like, he wasn't good. And she was like, well, you already did the hard part. You don't have to be fast. And she was definitely right. I was leading it by 0.7 of a second, and then the second high call missed going in, and so then I knew I really had a lot to work with, and so I was really close to the burger. Actually, I shouldn't have been that close, but I did sit there for a while, and then I took a swing over him, and I was still 2.5, so it definitely worked.
So talk to me about, building off of each run, right? You said you had no expectations to place in every round.
Right.
So what were your expectations going into it? Because I feel like that is something that is a little blurry waters. And it's like, you hear people talk about, I'm going to set goals. I'm going to be confident. Like I'm going to place in every round, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But there's so many variables that are uncontrollable in what we do. So in your mindset and how you approach things, what are you looking at? Are you building off every run? Are you saying this is my game plan overall? Like, tell us how you broke that down.
I don't really look at the outcome of any of it. I think that's what leads you to psych yourself out. I just focus on the process. I'm very big on the start. I think that's another thing that separates me from, especially the people up there, which kind of comes from pro rodeoing. You really have to nail it. It's such a huge thing in the breakaway world. So I focus on the start primarily. I visualize that over and over and over before I go. And it's a lot of a feeling thing for me. And then following that, I usually think about my first swing and visualize that prior to roping. And then the rest of it, I go blank during my runs, go into subconscious mode. And so that's really how I go about it. I'm not going to try to be too flat. I think whenever I try to be a time, it doesn't work. I think about riding my horse and staying in the middle so that I don't lean. Usually that works a lot better, and I've kind of become a lot better about that in the last year. And I think that helped me a lot for sure. It's just staying present.
Well, and I want to talk a little bit about your confidence levels, because I can hear it in your voice. Everybody on this podcast can hear it. You mentioned that you won Greeley last year, and that really boosted your confidence. I remember having the conversation with you a year before that, and you're like, hey, I want a pro rodeo. What do I do? And I'm like, here, I'll tell you everything I know. It's not much.
I remember that too.
Yeah, but it's a confidence builder, right? You've got to get that confidence under your belt. So you get that win at Greeley, you start building on that, and you go into that. Talk about your visualization, because that's something I think a lot of us have heard about, and I personally have started doing that since September. It's changed my life completely, not just in the arena, but outside of the arena. Yes. If any of you guys have watched Ice Age, that little squirrel named Scrat, that's like me. That's what's going, like, that's my head all the time. It's like, but so visualization was a challenge for me, because I'm like, I'd sit there, shut my eyes, and it'd be like, is 30 seconds went by yet? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So talk to me about your visualization practice and what that looks like every day.
Yes. So I first started this when I was little. My mom is very big on the mental game. And so when I was in like 6th grade, she was making me read mental game books. You know that, you know her. But my favorite one, and the one that I think stuck with me the best, is called With Winning in Mind. And it was written by Lanny Bassam, which was an Olympic shooter. Yep. Or light rifle, I think, something like that. And he talks a lot about visualization and making sure your mind is balanced in all aspects, whether that's your self-image, subconscious mode, or conscious mode. And anyways, in that book, it talks about how there was a time in his life when he could not actually physically practice. So he visualized for like months straight, and he ended up like winning the gold medal or something like that. And I think that's a great testament to how powerful visualization is, because your mind does not know the difference between you actually doing it and you visualizing it. So if you visualize yourself winning the college national finals rodeo, your mind is like, oh, I just won the college national finals rodeo. And so all of a sudden it becomes more likely to do it. And then that increases your confidence. And so visualizing is hard though. And that's something like you don't really know until you do it, but like getting your mind to do what you want it to do is so difficult. And so it takes practice, just like anything else. But no, it's something I think I've gotten a lot better about that recently too. I've known about it my whole life, but I don't think I've really started executing until recently. And that definitely helps. And it's always helped me in the goat tying and the breakaway roping. So yeah, it's a big thing.
I think you nailed it on the head when you said executing it, right? Because
Mhm.
for me, in my mind, when I first started doing that, everything inside of me screams no. It's just like
Mhm.
right before you go to do a workout, it's like, oh, I really don't want to do that. And then after you do it, you feel so amazing. And it's
Yes.
like, why is your mind telling you don't want
Yeah.
to do something when it makes you feel great? And same thing with visualization, right? It's like everything inside of you screams no.
Mhm.
And then when you finally get that calmed down and then you can do it, it's like, oh, this is kind of nice.
Yes, it is. And it's something you do all the time. Like we spend so much time driving. Like you can always be visualizing when you're driving, or if you feel like you're wasting time. Like on Saturday morning, we had to sit there for 3 hours waiting to do interviews. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should be on my computer. I need to be doing something. So I started visualizing. It made me feel productive. So I think it's a pretty cool thing that we can do as rodeo athletes.
Yeah, I agree. Talk about your family. They have played a huge part in everything that you have done and continued to do. Your dad, Joe, your mom, Brandy, and your sister, Lucy. You guys are the sweetest, most competitive family I think I've ever met in my life. Talk a little bit about your family, the role that they've played, and I know each one of them are different. Your dad has a different mindset. Your mom has a different
Yeah,
mindset. Your sister, like you guys are also opposite. So talk a little bit
we
about
are.
the
And we
diversity
actually
there.
are very different. I haven't really thought about that before, but we do all attack it completely. We all balance each other out good. It works good. We're a good team. But yes, my parents are absolutely the reason I am who I am. My mom, they're both very competitive. We're all extremely competitive. Obviously, it's quite evident. Um, but like I said, like my mom has always encouraged me to practice and read and educate myself. School was very important to us. We were never going to be homeschooled. We were always going to get a college education. And I'm used to beg to be homeschooled, when I was into horses and stuff when I was in junior high. And I'm so glad they never let me do that because of my education and my school. I feel like that sort of separates me, and I'm just so thankful for my education and for them. But anyway, yeah, my family, they're all amazing. My dad roped really, really good. He still ropes really good. He never pro rodeoed or anything because he went ahead and got a job and tried to make a living for us. And I'm thankful for that too.
Yeah.
I guess. But he taught me almost everything I know about roping. Him and Doug Farr has also had a pretty big impact on my roping lately. And then my mom never rodeoed, but she has always been incredibly invested, and she knows everything about goat tying and roping she could, even though she's never done a whole lot of it. And I could not be more thankful for them and for my sister for always pushing me, because when we were little, she never missed a beat. She was always right there beside me. And yeah, no, they're incredible. They're the reason I am who I am. They're the reason I win. I mean, yeah, I couldn't be more thankful.
And I think that I just know all of you guys so well. It's like I know that every one of them is just the utmost competitive in their own way. And
Yes.
I can't even imagine your mom. I bet her pants were on fire sitting in the seat watching you at the CNFR finals.
Oh yeah.
I can
I'll
only
have to send you
imagine.
the video. I'll have to send you the video. Someone videoed them after I won it, and it's pretty sweet. They were
That's
they were
awesome.
so excited. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, talk a little bit about your sister. I think that that's something so neat. You guys are pretty similar in age, but completely opposite. She's coming down to Texas A&M to live with you next year, go to school as well, college rodeo. We jokingly, we'll have to. This is probably for another podcast with Lucy, but those high school rodeo days are over for her.
Apparently.
Apparently that stage in life is done. So, talk a little bit about Lucy and how you guys have pushed each other in the different areas. You guys are both very talented, but you're both very talented in different areas. So, talk a little
Right.
bit about that.
Yes. So we are very different. She is so much more of a people person than me, especially like in that phase of life. I guess I'm a lot better now than I once was, as you know.
Yeah.
um, but and also like physically we're completely different. She is so strong like in her upper body, and she can freaking has always been able to throw it as far as she wants to. I've always had to work really hard at that because I have zero upper body strength naturally. But we grew up kind of in the middle of nowhere, so we always just had each other, and so we just rode horses together all the time at home, did everything together, pushed each other. So a lot of people are like, well, is it going to be okay that you're living with her? And I think it'll be great. We get along fine. I think she'll be able to help me with my horses in school, and I'll be able to help her because I don't know if she's near as excited about the school part as I was. But I think she'll love A&M. I think she'll make great friends. And the Texas A&M rodeo team and our entire program has improved immensely lately. And so she's going to have some opportunities that I didn't really have. And I'm really excited about that for her as well. But yeah, it is cool to be able to compete alongside your sister, and I'm so glad she's coming up to rodeo with me some this summer. That makes things a lot easier, and it kind of like makes you calm down, because I don't really like being away from home all that much. I like to be able to do my stuff at home and practice, and so I think with her being up there, I'll feel a lot more at ease, and that will also contribute to both of our successes.
Yeah, and I think that Lucy has the most dry sense of humor any human ever. And one funny story I have about you is you have definitely come out of your shell. And we're going to talk a little bit about what you want to do in the future coming up. But you used to be a mute, right?
Oh,
So you used to not talk ever.
No,
Ever.
I was so shy.
And Lucy will talk to me, right? So me and Lucy are pals, and I tried to be your pal, but you didn't want to talk. So when we first went to college, I remember calling your mom. This is such a funny story.
Oh gosh.
So I was actually headed to Bryan. I think it was to the pro rodeo or the amateur rodeo down there. I'm not sure which. This is 3 years ago. And I was talking to your mom about something, and she was like, well, if you see Madalyn down there, tell her, tell me how she's doing, check her out. And I'm like, oh, I got you, girl. Like, I will scope it out, right? Private investigator here. And you saw me first, and you literally walked up to me and talked to me for like 10 minutes. And I can only remember just standing there saying, what is wrong with her? Like, did she take something? Does she need something? Why is she talking to me? So I remember calling your mom, and I said, look, Brandy, I'm worried. And she was like, oh my God, why? And I was like, Madalyn just talked to me for like 10 minutes. I didn't say anything.
Yeah, no, I don't know why I changed so much when I got to college, but it was like the week I got there, I was like a completely different person. I guess I was always there, like that time of my life, I was like, you know what? I'm going to say yes to everything. I'm going to, live life, go to the bar, have fun. And I did. And I made I think part of it was when I got to A&M, I made like the greatest friends ever. Like just naturally just fell into like the best group of people. And I think that really brought me out of my shell and helped and contributed to my success in all things, definitely. But no, I changed completely.
You were a totally different person. Like our podcast we're doing now would have been over at 1:30 if it was old Madalyn. So that would have been fun. So let's talk a little bit. I'm excited about this part of the show. We're going to talk about your future and your education here. Tell us a little bit about, obviously Texas A&M is one of the most prestigious and the most challenging universities there is. You're studying something that is not easy either. And then you're telling me a little bit about what you're going to go into. So talk to me about what the future looks like for Madalyn.
Yes, so I'll graduate in December, actually, which is a semester early, but I'm going to start my master's in January, so I want to just go ahead and start with it. So I'll graduate with my bachelor's in ag communications and journalism and a minor in ag economics. My intention is to eventually go into something in ag policy. I want to be in government relations or something like that, advocating for the ag industry, probably cattle or something like that. I don't really know, because the rodeo world does keep pulling me. I keep winning, so I keep staying, I guess. I don't know. But I'll start my master's in ag economics in January, as I said, and I'm gonna do that for a professor named Dr. Outlaw, who's very influential and well known in the ag policy world. He's very well connected in DC and all over, so he should be able to get me a job wherever, as long as I do a good job on my thesis and throughout my master's. So that will be definitely difficult. My master's will be, so that might change how I attack college rodeo a little bit, but I do intend on college rodeoing probably for all 5 years, since I'm going to be there and everything will be set up, I guess.
Well, and I love to hear it. And I said earlier, I was like, so is this like Maddie for president? And you're like, well, maybe Maddie for Congress.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. We'll see. I don't really know where my future is going to take me, but that's another thing I really appreciate about my parents. They never put me in a box or tried to close me off. They let me dabble in all things, and I'm still doing that, just dabbling in all things. I want a career, I think, though, outside of rodeo, but I do always want a rodeo, so there's that.
Well, and I think that's the brilliance of what we get to do, right? There's so many opportunities now for women in rodeo, for breakaway ropers, for all the things. Goat tires, it's more limited. So soak it up while you can and while you still have your normal knees.
That's all right. I'll be too busy for that by that stage in life, maybe.
I think it's going to be great. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations for this amazing feat. But I do have one last question for you. If you had to go back and you had to tell younger Madalyn something, what would that be and why?
oh boy, see, this is really interesting for me because I've changed so much. But I think I would say to say yes to every opportunity presented to you and try new things, because it took me a very long time to finally start trying new things and get out of my shell. Because once I did start saying yes and start experiencing different people and different worlds, and that's when my life really changed, and when I started gaining confidence in myself and in my surroundings, and when I really started learning. And I always want to continue to say yes to things and experience different opportunities. So I think, yeah, that would probably be my advice.
I think that's great advice because I've seen those rewards. And what I love about that question is, and we'll have you on the show several more times because now you talk. So that's great. We can interview you. It changes throughout stages of your life. So
Mhm.
I think it's really cool to reflect and ask yourself that often because
Mhm.
it's going to evolve and change as the seasons change with what you're going
Yes,
through.
absolutely. I mean, like summer is a prime example. I wasn't really sure if I was going to go rodeo and enter everywhere, but I won quite a bit this spring, and so I could get in a lot of places I haven't been able to before. So I'm going to go. I can do my internship remotely, and so that helps. That kind of justifies me somehow. I don't know. And so, yeah, I'm just going to say yes and keep going.
I think you should. Congratulations, Madalyn Richards, your CNFR breakaway roping champion, all around champion. That name's not going anywhere, folks. She's going to be around for a long time. So, Maddie, thank you so much for coming to the show today, and we'll see you down the road.
Yes, thank you for having me. I loved it.